14.
14, lucky number 14. I'm one of your hosts, Marcus Howard.
And I'm Sebastian, chosen one Burton. And we're bringing you the Eat for Life podcast this week. And we got a very special guest in the building this time. He is known to us as Rich, but you can call him Mr. Rageworks. He came through the building to show love to us, so thank you for your time. Rich, we appreciate you because we know all the work you do, and you still found time to be in front of the camera, even though you be doing everything behind the camera, and we just appreciate that. So thank you a lot, my brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the opportunity to come in front of the camera to bring some gems and add a little value to the Eat for Life community. I mean,
them gems.
You and the crew have been knocking it out of the park left and right. So, hopefully my contribution on the front end can enlighten some people and really demystify a lot of what's going on with podcasting, because people really are jumping into it head first, not realizing that the barrier of entry is very small, but the skill level required for success needs to be a lot higher. And that's the problem. Too many people, they see the Joe Rogans, they see, they see Joe Budden, they see all these people just making hundreds and thousands of dollars off of podcasting. And the problem with that is that these are people with ingrained audiences. And people don't get that. They automatically, I want to be the next Joe Rogan. You can't be the next Joe Rogan.
Right.
You can't be the next Joe Rogan.
Be the next
Joe Rogan. Well, you know what the thing is, and people forget, Joe Rogan was a stand-up comedian first, honed his craft on the circuit. Then he hosted Fear Factor. Then he did a bunch of other stuff before he even started podcasting.
He built an audience already. People came into it. He brought an audience already.
He was on that one show too with Phil Hartman. I can't remember, News Radio or something. It was like
you might be right. He might have been on News Radio, and that's exactly it. Like, case in point, look at you, Sebastian, Marcus, and the rest of the Eat for Life squad. You have all built up communities and engagement through your own networks of people. So getting in front of the microphone, it's a very easy transition to bring those people over. But to the average person, they've never created a piece of content in their life, and they want 1,000 downloads an episode. It's like, but nobody knows you.
Right. Is that, would you say, the biggest part to starting is you need to build your audience on another platform, or could you use the podcast as the lead-in to your other stuff?
I feel that a podcast can serve, it's really a tripod in terms of content. If you're a personal brand, you can use it to just amplify the voice that you've already established. If you're using it to start a brand, then you really need to ensure that you're engaging more than just on the podcast. And the third part of it is, for a business, it's a way for you to control the narrative of how your business is perceived, because it'll allow people to connect with you differently.
Okay. I totally get it. So a podcast like Joe Budden's, he doesn't really push his music that much. He kind of pushes his opinions on music or whatever, but he doesn't really be like, yo, I got this album coming. But you can do that for podcasts, right?
Yeah, you definitely can. I feel that one of the things that people that listen to podcasts are they're very savvy about what they're listening to. Right. So you can't sit there and try and beat them over the head with whatever you're trying to promote. You have to always be like, hey, thanks for listening. By the way, if you enjoy what we're doing here, make sure to check out X. Make sure to sign up for our newsletter. Make sure to make the call to action seem natural instead of authoritative. Like, oh, make sure you guys buy, because nobody wants to deal with that.
Right. Nobody wants to be sold to.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You watch your favorite shows. When you're done watching that show and the credits roll, if you want to keep up with the actors, the actresses, whatever, you're going to consciously go and do that.
Right. Facts. That's it's not like the program anymore. It's like your own self-research.
I mean, listen, since 2020, 197 million people are familiar with podcasting. When I started back in 2006, I'd say the word podcast and people would be like, what is that? Yeah. Is that an iPod through the iPod? Or is it, I had to really tell people I did internet radio because people didn't know that word.
Yeah,
That
that's
radio
true.
was great.
That's true.
I remember that.
That makes sense.
To really tell people I did in. On top of that, 40% of people that have been asked about podcasting are listening more to podcasts now thanks to COVID-19 because
Right.
people are home. So, you're watching your kids, you're doing stuff, podcast is playing in the background. Nobody's using it to commute to work anymore. And as a result of that, people are like, oh, well, if so-and-so can do it, I can do it. And the thing about it is, that's great. You want to do it, that's awesome. But if you don't respect the medium enough to do your homework, learn some technique, pick up some stuff, learn how to edit at the basic level, then you get mad when your podcast has 5 downloads over 3 episodes.
Yeah. So it's really about learning those skills. So what are some of the skills that somebody needs to, if you want them to avoid that, I pray you avoid, having 5 downloads over 3 episodes. But sometimes you got to put work in now.
100%.
That's a gem for me. I know it's your episode,
Yes.
but gem for me is sometimes you got to put work in. Nobody wants to plant the seeds in the ground. They just want to show up when the mango is coming out in the spring the next year. Nobody want to put the seeds in the floor. So, that takes a lot of time. You got to fertilize the ground. Because I like to believe, Marcus, you posted on one of my posts recently when we shared something from last week that art imitates life. I like to believe that life, like our life and our society, and I'm not jacking from you, Rich, I promise.
No, not at all.
I like to believe like our lives and our society and how we do business all reflects nature, right? And so when we use those adages like nobody wants to be there to plant the seeds, but everybody wants to be there for the mangoes, it's like planting seeds isn't just sprinkling seeds in the ground, is it? Like it's not just plant. So starting a podcast isn't just finding a name, turning a mic on and going. There's a bunch of stuff. You got to cultivate the land. You got to do all this thing. So it's the same thing in the podcast where we reflect nature. So what are some of those things when we talk about that planting seeds? What are some of those things that's not just sprinkle, 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 water, walk away, boom, come back, banging mango tree? What are those other little things like checking the land, doing this? What would you say that are the things people don't know about in podcasting?
So the first thing before I even touch on that is I want to give a phrase that a lot of people get caught up on, and that's paralysis analysis. And basically, that's when people have 17 links open to different microphones, 5 different headsets, 3 different mixers, and by the end of the week, they buy nothing. Oh. And that's the biggest problem. Too many people get caught up in that. They get paralyzed by trying to do so many things. A podcast is very simple in that it is spoken word. Don't try to make it too pretty. Just start and hit that record button. So to answer your question, one of the first things you got to do is look at the content you consume. Look at those people around you. See if you draw inspiration. Don't copy them. Draw inspiration from them. You want to do an interview-based podcast, then you should be looking at different interviewers, guys like David Letterman, podcasters like Tim Ferriss, Oprah Winfrey. Go down the list of content creators, people that are in that space that are doing those interviews, having those conversations, and watch them, see what they do, see what you can learn from them to make it your own unique voice. That's number one. Number one is make sure to be true and be honest with yourself and what you're presenting, but also make sure to respect, like I said, the medium and do the research. If you want to do a podcast about esports, about gaming, first thing you should do is go on Twitter, find 10 journalists in the gaming industry, reach out to them via DM, go, listen, I want to start a podcast to talk about gaming. What are some things that you feel aren't being reported by a lot of gaming podcasts? How can I help you? And that's the biggest thing. It's about bringing value to what you're doing. It's leaving the land better than when you found it. And that's one of the biggest things. And it's, one of the things we talk about is underrepresentation. I mean, there's a hashtag that floats around on Twitter, which is pods in color, which is creators that are persons of color that should put that hashtag with their content, because there's a lot of stuff that just isn't getting the bandwidth. And the problem with that, while it's great and it's part of the movement, at the end of the day, your message should be universal. It should be one size fits all. But if you do want to talk about, the African-American experience, the Hispanic experience, whatever it is, and that's part of your podcast, then you need to go where that audience is. You need to go into those Facebook groups. You need to go into those Twitter conversations, and you need to start adding value to the conversation so that when they go, wow, that XYZ really knows what he's talking about. You go like this. Yeah, I talk about a lot of that stuff on my podcast.
If you want, I can
share a link.
He talking about us. You've
already built up that social equity.
He talking about us. He's saying we're not doing that enough. So
no. On the contrary, you guys are doing outstanding work. But the problem is, and this is the thing, some people are just so burned out because, like I said, so many people are starting podcasts now. I feel like every few weeks I'll hear somebody in my own social circle, yo, Rich, I'm starting a podcast. Or, yo, Rich, I started a podcast. And then I'll circle back 3 months later, 6 months later, and I go, oh, what's going on with the podcast? I stopped doing it. I'm like, oh, what happened? My episodes were getting like 10, 15 downloads. And I go like this. How many times a day can you talk to 10 people that genuinely are hanging on to your every word? And I'm being honest. You go walk into a room, like I'll do it more close to home. Marcus, how many people do you talk to in a day, face to face, in an average day, excluding your family?
He dropping now.
That number is 0.
See what I'm saying? Sebastian, I know you're out there, you're in the community, you're doing a lot of stuff, you're doing a lot of charity work and stuff. So you're interacting with more people, but still, in one day, how many people do you talk to?
Yeah, it's not more than I can reach on a podcast, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. So people, they get hung up on that number. And they're so used to that. Oh, it's only 10 people. It's only 20 people. That's fine. That's 20 people that genuinely, all you need is 100 dedicated fans.
Well, shout out to the 4 of y'all on LinkedIn right now. You know what? I'm jacked up thanks to this man, Rich. Shout out to y'all on Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn. You know, you right. I ain't even showing love. We got our people who come every week. Shout out to y'all right now. Thank you.
Because think about it. Those four people are going to say, listen, I checked out this podcast. They had this guest. It was awesome. Next thing you know, word of mouth travels. People forget how crucial and vital word of mouth still is because we've been spoiled.
Yeah, number one way. And I run ads.
Twitter.
I run ads. I bombard people with ads, and word of mouth is still stronger than that.
Yep. We've been spoiled by Twitter, by Facebook, by Instagram, by all this stuff because again, that level of hustle is just right there. It's just at the tip of a finger. But you know what? When we were doing localized events, whether it's E3 or Comic-Con or whatever, that engagement, that walking up to a booth, hey, I host a podcast, I cover this, would love to help you out, would love to share your content, that still matters. And even though so many of us are doing it virtually now, it's still vital. It's still vital. And people they're very give to a point, but they don't know how to take either. Like right now, we're doing this podcast. We're giving people value. Right. The next stage of the game is, hey, can we ask you guys to take 2 seconds and give us a review on iTunes? Can we ask you to do us a favor, share the show? And that's the thing. People don't know how to ask, and then they get mad. It's like, listen, your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, they're going to always tell you, oh, your podcast is awesome. They're never going to say that you suck, but you have to ask that dedicated audience. If you got those 5 people that are there every week, like, what can we do for you to make it better?
What can all this brown do for you?
Word.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Right though, Rich. My kids will never mind asking on a regular basis for chocolate chips. Like they know exactly how to ask for chocolate chips.
Yep.
And they got it down to a science.
Specifically the chips, not the cookie.
Yep.
The chips.
Not the chocolate chips.
Yep. Okay. Think about it. You're as parents, Marcus and I can attest to the fact that kids know how to sell us on something. They're the best negotiators in the game.
They are.
They'll be like, hey, pick up your stuff. Well, Dad, if I pick up my stuff, do you think we could go to the park later? And you're just like, damn. I guess we're going to the park later.
I want the stuff picked up.
Yep, exactly. And I think as content creators, that's what we're not doing. And that's a big part of what podcasting is. It is you delivering value, whether it's entertainment, infotainment, or just the news. Whatever it is, you're delivering it. And at the end of the day, the people are tuning in, not for the content. They're tuning in for you. It's not about the horse. It's about the jockey. And that's what it is. People, people are there for you.
I gotta keep clicking. I had to click it.
And people get upset. They get upset when.
Say that line again. Say that line again. Say it again. Say it one more time.
Oh, believe in the jockey, not in the horse. That's what it's all about. Like, yeah, it's cool that you got a podcast, but at the end of the day, the host is what matters. You have to be able to deliver that content. You have to be able to tell people, hey, like you were saying before, Joe Budden don't talk about his music.
Right.
Joe Budden talks about the news, right. Or he talks about whatever gossipy stuff is going on in hip hop.
Right.
Joe Rogan had Elon Musk smoke weed on his podcast. Think about this. Elon Musk, worth billions of dollars, sitting there with Joe Rogan talking about aliens, technology, government, and all this stuff. Joe Rogan, mind you, doesn't have a focus on his show. 1 week he'll talk to Elon Musk. 1 week he'll talk to a fighter that fought 3 weeks ago on a UFC card. But at the end of the day, people tune in because they want to see what Joe Rogan's gonna do. When I tune into the Eat for Life podcast, I want to know what's Marcus going to talk about, what's Sebastian going to say, how are they going to engage with that guest, what's Red bringing to the table, what's Derek going to say, because those are the things that bring me to you to consume your content. If you don't focus on being the best host, the best generator of value, people are going to tune out.
It's true.
That's all it takes.
It's true.
Shout out to everybody on LinkedIn. We're going to show love to everybody supporting us on a regular basis. Appreciate you, Kevin, Emmanuel, Joseph, Israel, Alexander. We appreciate all y'all doing that. If you want to do us a favor, we're making an ask here. If you want to click one of those icons, there's like a thumbs up and claps and all those. If you want to click one of those, that'll tell LinkedIn to share more of our stuff with the ecosystem and everybody else on Twitch and on Facebook. If there is a like or some kind of reaction on, click those and help us get the word out. That's my ask for now. But I have a question for you, Rich. You're always giving me suggestions and constructive criticism about my setup here so that I can get better at my audio, the lighting, like all of that. There are some people here who don't quite have their equipment yet. And, I only just got this like a week before we started the podcast. Help me or help the audience, the community, understand like what's the budget you need to get started on a podcast and what kind of equipment should you spend that budget on? I'm
gonna be completely honest. The best piece of content creation, the best piece of podcast creation content is this device right here. You want to know why? Because you could turn on your voice memo and record your podcast and send it to your computer and edit it, and you're done. You can download a service like Anchor, which recently got acquired by Spotify. All you do is sign up, name your podcast, they do all the legwork, and you press record. Again, headset from your phone and hitting record, and you're off to the races. That's all it takes. The biggest content creation device is this. And you can record a podcast with just this. Hell, you can edit it with just this. And that you can start with just that. Now, removing a cell phone out of the equation, you can get a simple USB microphone. Doesn't have to be pretty. You can get something $25-$30, plug that in, get yourself some closed headphones, and you can download Audacity, which is free. And you can edit all your audio with Audacity. There's plenty of YouTube tutorials, and again, free. Now, to get your podcast distributed, you have to find a podcast host. So there's a couple of leaders in the space. There's Libsyn, which is the company I started with back in 2006. And you pay them maybe $5-10 a month, and they'll give you a certain storage cap, and you upload your podcast, and then they handle submissions to iTunes and everything else. And again, very simple. The barrier of entry is maybe the hosting fee, and if you want to buy like a USB microphone and a headset, that's it. And that's only like I said, that's stage 2. You can just use your phone to do everything and use a service like Anchor, which is free. It'll do everything. But the thing about that is that you should always look to upgrade the experience of the listener. So if you're starting out with your phone, the audio is going to be kind of tinny, speaker phone-ish. Start there and then say to yourself, okay, in 3 months, I want to maybe start recording on my computer and using Audacity or whatever. And I want to do that. And just give yourself timelines, set expectations for yourself, because the audience is only going to co-sign crappy audio for a few episodes. If they don't see you learning and fine tuning, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this sounds like trash. I'm out." It's a very forgivable sin, but it's a sin that you can't crutch on too long.
Right.
So, question: as you're leveling up, right? So now you got us in level 1. We're not spending too much bread. We're using our phone. Okay, boom, I'm ready to record. Now, I move forward. I move up. I'm starting to do it on the computer, Audacity. What am I doing to make bread? Like, that's what I want to know. What am I doing to make bread? Like, that's what I think a lot of people are interested in.
Yeah, of course. So the money-making aspect of podcasting is I'm going to be honest, it's a very thankless thing. It's a very thankless pursuit. And I say this because too many people, when they approach for advertisers are stuck on radio numbers. They're so used to looking at podcasts as, per milli, which is per 1,000 listeners. And the thing about that is that's a radio metric. Podcasts are evergreen, meaning that whatever you recorded 2 years ago is still being consumed now. It might not be consumed by the same 50 people, but it's being consumed in general. Now, when it comes to advertising, you have to look at a couple of variables. If you're doing a podcast that's local, that's about local stuff, then it's easy to go to local businesses and say, hey, Pop's Bakery Shop, I do a podcast about cooking, would love to promote you guys, would love to do something. Would you be interested in advertising on the show? Maybe providing a link if you do mail order, and you can track the metrics and see what converts. That's an easy way to get buy-in. Another way is if you are talking about products, if you're talking about any type of products, find an affiliate program for that product. Go to that vendor, go to that company. Hey, I love your headphones. I do a podcast. These are my numbers. We have a global reach of X, and always make sure that you're savvy on your numbers. You know what you got. You can rattle them off at the drop of a hat, and you tell them, listen, we reach this. Our podcast is, X amount of people. We have a very dedicated community, and show that engagement. And then say, listen, we'd love to promote this. Would you be interested in advertising, maybe providing an affiliate link? You can track it and we can drive people to your site or your product. That's another way. And the cheapest and easiest way, if you're talking about products, is something that people sleep on, and that's Amazon. Amazon has a very easy affiliate program.
This is true.
That you sign up and you link to, and you want to talk about movies, every movie title, make sure it's in your show notes, link to that Blu-ray or DVD on Amazon with an Amazon affiliate link.
I mean, he's giving y'all.
Done. You want to talk about products? Hey, like I said, you do a cooking podcast. Hey, this is the mixer I use. Hey, Best Buy. Best Buy has an affiliate program. Boom. Sign up for that affiliate program. Link to Best Buy. Make that money. Rinse and repeat. Go to B&H. They got an affiliate program. Sign up. Link out. Rinse and repeat. But always be transparent with your audience. And I always do that. I always say, listen, the show notes may contain affiliate links, which will at no cost to you allow us to receive a commission, which will allow us to improve our audio, improve our presentation for you, the listener. It costs nothing.
So affiliate.
You don't call out specific products for the affiliate links. You just say, we have affiliate links in the show notes.
You could do that, but you can also call out products. Like you can say, hey, these headphones I use are the, Audio Technica X. There's links for them in the show notes. Make sure to click them. Full transparency. This is an affiliate link. And as long as you let your audience know and let them know that it's not going to hurt them. And the thing that people sleep on is that a lot of affiliate links, especially like with Amazon, an affiliate link for Amazon, that cookie, I believe, is good for 30 days. So let's say they click that affiliate link and don't buy that one thing today. And 3 weeks from now, they decide, I'm going to buy a plasma TV. or I'm going to buy a new computer monitor, you get a commission because your cookie is based off the link they clicked on.
I know y'all loving this.
So the thing about it is that you're going to stack up those wins. You're going to stack that up. So don't get me wrong. Amazon's not paying bunches and bunches of money, but what you gotta realize is that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you're gonna link out. You're gonna do that. You're gonna sign up for different affiliate programs. If you're doing something that I know Sebastian's gonna love is if you're doing an ebook or a course, make sure you link to that. Make sure you use that. And one thing that people sleep on, and I did this, it was a rookie mistake on my part. Build your email list. Build your email list. If you don't build an email list, it is a big disservice. And you want to know why? Because people still open email. People delete text messages. People ignore pop-up ads. People turn on ad blockers. But you know what? People still open up every morning or a couple of times a day? Email. But you have to give them value.
LinkedIn said game. I'm saying Israel, is he dropping or is he dropping?
But think about this. You got to give them value. If they're signing up for your email list, you got to say, hey, thanks for signing up for my email list. Let me give you a free 30-minute consultation if you're doing a business-based product. Or, hey, let me give you a free sample of a questionnaire that you can use for lead generation. Or, hey, you got to make sure that the juice has to be worth the squeeze. Right. So if they're signing up, what am I getting? And then you tell them, hey, I'm going to email you once a week, and don't use the generic greeting. Make sure that every newsletter addresses the reader by their name. Do it once a week. Add some value, tie it together, do things that are exclusive for your newsletter community. Hey, we're going to do a special podcast for newsletter subscribers. If you're on Patreon, Patreon's another way to make money. People are so tied up with, I got to get, Audible, or I got to get this, or I got to get that. All you got to do is look at the products that you are a fan of, that you genuinely can talk about with real conviction, and reach out to those companies. Hey, I got a podcast. I do this. Would love to promote your product. Love your stuff. Here's this. And sometimes I'm going to tell you, you're going to get a lot of no's. Right. But you got to wake up and you got to ask yourself, I have 30 days. Every day, I need to make one phone call or one pitch to get advertising for my podcast. I guarantee you that within 30 days, you're going to get at least 5. At least 5. And I'm talking about 5 that you are actively seeking out. I'm not talking about passive affiliate stuff that you can go to. Because it's out there.
I you
gotta put in the work.
Yeah, I think that's the part, right? Like, you got it. First of all, I love what you're saying about the email list. I send one out on Sunday mornings. So,
and real quick, if you haven't heard the masterclass that Sebastian held and led, episode 4 or 5 on emails and lead gen, definitely go check that out. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Thank you. Yeah, it's important, right? And the key is to add on to what Rich is saying, because he's eloquently putting it. A really great thing about emails is yes, people open them up. That's huge. Yes, you can do exclusive subscriber stuff because they're probably more engaged because they're seeing you if you're emailing them a couple times a week. But also what's important too is you don't control LinkedIn. You don't control Facebook. You don't control YouTube. So if any of these platforms for whatever reason go down or take you down off of them, you still have communication with all those people via your email. So it's incredibly important to build your email list. I mean, it's important. The money's in the list. The first thing I learned in marketing years ago was the money's in the list. And every year that goes by, it gets more important. Like that statement, now I preach it. Back then I was like, the money's in the list. Like, the money's in my pocket. The money's in this. The money's in that. No, the money is in the list, because if you have a list of people interested in your content, then you convert them into customers by, as Rich said, adding value. That's something we focus here on the podcast. We call them gems. We really kind of build our episodes around, as you can see with Rich here, giving y'all the whole diamond mind. We really focus around giving value up front. We're not really concerned about, don't get me wrong, we've got sponsors coming, and we want to, build, and we have affiliate links and things like that. Obviously, I have the ebook that's doing great right now. Thank you guys. Shout out to you guys. But that's not what's important for us. What's important for us, as Rich said, is these are things we love to talk about and things we care about. So we just share them with you because it has helped us with success, and we give them out first. And in return, a lot of you guys are supporting us. A lot of people we don't even know are messaging us, letting us know, like, yo, this is the dopest thing we've heard. And what I try to do is, and I'm always preaching to Marcus, this is why he brought it up, is I try to get emails from you guys so that just in case you're not on platform or whatever, you're getting the same message and I can mass communicate it. So those emails are really, 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 really important. I mean, I can't.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Sebastian knocked it out of the park. It's true. You need to understand that your platforms, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, those are tools in your arsenal. They are tools in your content creation arsenal. What you control is your podcast and your website. Right. Don't rely on Instagram, Facebook, any of these platforms, because if they fold, or better yet, if they decide tomorrow that they don't want to share your content for whatever reason and they lock you out, then they have essentially taken that audience from you. Your job is always to make sure that the audience follows you wherever you go. And right. I always tell people that they should read the essay called The 1,000 True Fans. It was written by Kevin Kelly, the editor of Wired. Read that and then pick up the book by Pat Flynn, who's a podcaster, called Super Fans. Those two things are things you got to focus on. You need to make sure that the fans that you cultivate, the audience that you cultivate, those are your soldiers. That's your street team.
Right. Early adopters,
Those are the people that are out there, and you can say, hey, we're dropping this book, hey, if you can get 10 people to buy it, we'll give you a PlayStation game, just as an example, or whatever. You want to incentivize, but you also want to weaponize. Right. You want to weaponize your audience. You want your audience to go out there and be that front line of engagement to get your message out there.
Facts.
Period.
Facts. I mean, that's just what it's about. And I think that I always use this example. Now you're going to make me put it out this week. I have to, now that you've dropped a gem on it. I always put it's really about your 4%, right? It's your 4%. Like 4% of your audience makes up 64% of your sales, while the other 96% only will make up 36% of your sales. So it's 64-36. So 64 come from 4% of your audience. And obviously 4% of your audience varies on how big your audience is. But those main adopters you're talking about, early adopters, main adopters, super fans, whatever you want to call them, they'll account for more than the bulk of people will. And so you should make your content for them. And a great example by a marketer named Sabri Subi that dropped gems on that is like McDonald's, right? Like they only keep a couple items on their menu. You got a chicken sandwich, you got a burger, you got nuggets, you got the drink, you got fries. Then once in a while there's some wild sandwich that comes out, right? But mostly it's the same thing. But they are such a big audience that 4% for them is like 200 million people. And so every single day they train their employees to ask those 200 million people one question. Do you know what that question is?
You want fries with that?
That's it. Say it again.
Do you want fries with that?
That one question for their 4% of 200 million people is $1.30 upcharge for 200 million people every single day. Because only 4% of them are going to say yes because they're McDonald's super fans. But they don't care what everybody else orders because some people just want water. Some want the ice cream if the machine ain't broken. Some people want, X, Y, and Z. But they know about 4% of everybody who comes through this drive-through today is going to say, yeah, let me get the fries too.
Yep.
And that right there is what you got to do with your fans, is you got to make offers. And you got to, and another thing too is like with the podcast, I think that building genuine relationships with your audience. That's what we've started working on a lot better, is like, reaching out to our people who talk to us on LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitch. At first, we were kind of just doing it and then looking at it being like, wow, we're getting them to talk. But now we're kind of involved with you guys, and even at the end of today's episode, we need to have Rich get some time to just answer some questions that they fire off, because I want to start doing
absolutely.
that. Because we've been getting questions, and then we don't get a lot of time to fire them off. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my last question, and I'll let Marcus ask whatever he wants to ask, is what about the network? Like, what I know the Rage Network is huge. Now that I've been on the Rage Network and I've seen it and I've listened to some of the podcasts, shout out to those guys over there. I love your show, Toys and Tech of the Trade. I love the Star Trek joint. I love just a couple pieces on there. The two other brothers with the great show. What's the name of that show?
Black is the New Black.
Black is the New Black, baby. You see, I love that show too. I had tuned in and I was like, man, these brothers is dope. I love that. So what made you become like a czar of multiple podcasts? And what's the long-term goal of someone like you? We obviously can't be there yet because we're not at your level. Right? Like you have a level where you're not only dropping gems on how to do the podcast from the back end, you're talking about what you need to do in the front end. Shoot, you're moving into marketing. You're moving into my territory. You need to back up, okay? But with a network, how do you become like a czar of a network? Like how does that work?
So I'll do the condensed version. So what happened was in 2006, I started my podcast, My Take Radio. At the time that I was doing the podcast, I was covering MMA, pro wrestling, video games, and movies. Now, again, these are 4 diverse topics, but these are 4 things that I was really, really into.
Right.
And my goal was to talk about them, but also bring those people together. Because a lot of times, a lot of people can be fans of one thing, but might not be fans of another. Or the worst thing, and you guys know this, especially in the gaming community, there's a lot of gatekeeping. And people don't want to share their stuff. Like if there's a wrestling fan, MMA sucks. Have you ever watched a UFC fight? Do you know anything about it? But so I was the person that kind of would bridge that gap and bring them together. Right. When I started doing that in 2006, I did it real hard and heavy for, I'm recording 3-hour episodes talking about all this stuff. Got burned out.
Welcome to the LinkedIn people tuned in. Sorry, cut you.
Yep. In 2009, I decided there was a service called Blog Talk Radio that dropped that allowed you to do a live call-in show. And I said, this is a great platform. So at the time, I had a My Take Radio website, decided to relaunch the podcast as a call-in show. And I would bring in guests. People would call in, ask the guest questions, the full kit. And I would broadcast from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. once a week. And that was all well and good, but eventually I got married and my wife was like, listen, you can't be here in this room recording till 2 a.m. while I got to sleep. So what we ended up doing was I split the show with MMA and wrestling on Wednesdays and video games and movies on Thursdays. So I was doing 2 shows, roughly 90 minutes, same thing, 11 p.m. Till 12:30 in that case. And after I was done, I would edit the audio, edit the video, and put it right out. Right. And the thing about it was a lot of the people that would come on that worked on the website writing content, they would come on the show as guests. They'd call in, they'd be engaging. So they would reach out and say, Rich, man, I want to do a podcast. I was like, all right, what do you want to know? And next thing you know, that person launched their show, same deal. I'd be like, listen, I'll host it on the feed from My Take Radio. And it'll just be a way for you not to worry about it. Just send me the audio. I'll make it sound nice and out it goes. One writer turned into 2 writers that wanted a show, 3 writers that wanted a show. Next thing you know, at least 4 different people had shows. And I'm like, well, damn, I guess now it had the My Take Radio brand had grown so much that I said, My Take Radio needs to stay a show and I need to create a parent brand, which is Rageworks. And the funny thing about Rageworks, people read it and they think it has to do with like me being angry, which is funny, but it's actually an acronym for reviews and rants about gaming, entertainment, and the works. Ooh. So the works, if anybody that grew up in New York, you'd order a pizza. What do you want on the pizza? I want the works, which is everything. And that was us. That's what we are. We talk about, we touch upon everything. And the funny thing about it was the when the podcast network came out of that, I'm like, well, this is the Rageworks Podcast Network, and this is your one-stop shop for rants about gaming, entertainment, and the works. Same thing. So people can still hear all the conversations. The branding stays the same, but the message is just slightly tweaked. And when I retired my podcast, I retired My Take Radio at 400 episodes. At the time, one of our hosts, Jay Santee, was hosting a sports podcast, and he used to do a segment called Turnbuckle Tabloid about wrestling. I said to him, listen, Jay, I'm retiring the wrestling podcast. Why don't you turn Turnbuckle Tabloid into a show? And needless to say, Turnbuckle Tabloid has become his baby. That's and right. Regular season sportscast has been on hiatus ever since. And now he built a full studio in his house, much like I built a studio in mine. And he's doing shows twice a week. And, his numbers are growing. And then, the Star Trek podcast came on board, which is Trek Untold. Same thing. I worked with the host of that show on a lot of projects off air. And he was like, listen, Rich, I want to do a Trek podcast. What do you think? And I said, listen, man, you do it. I'll get it out there. And same thing. We worked out an agreement, and he sends me a show. I make it sound nice, which in his case, he's a very talented filmmaker. He's got like 3-4 documentaries under his belt. I don't got to do much. And boom, Trek Untold is out there. And I'm always looking to add shows and diverse voices. And the thing about it is, I tell people all the time, listen, I'm not going to censor you. My job is to edit your content to make you sound nice. Talk about what you want to talk about. Know what comes with that. Know the risk. Be yourself, but know the risk of some of the stuff you want to touch on. Don't use any copywritten stuff, and that's my only thing. Don't use any music. Don't play any stuff. Buy their stuff, invest in your show, and the rest is history. And that's pretty much been it. And the Rageworks Network has been, and I'm sure people are going to ask, where's the money in that? The money is very simple. I tell all my hosts, whatever advertising you can cultivate by yourself is 100% yours. If I bring an advertiser in to advertise on your show, it's probably going to be an 80-20 or a 70-30 split. That's it. If I do the legwork and bring them to the dance, you close them, I get a cut because obviously we got to keep the lights on here. But same thing. And like I tell them, you get your own advertisers, 100% your money. You did the legwork. I ain't got nothing to do with it. You cover your hosting fees and what goes into the Rageworks Network, and the rest is yours. Good luck.
Charles Riley over on LinkedIn says we need more air horn, and with that 80-20 split right there, I think we need more air horn.
It's true. I don't listen. I'm all about building. People don't understand. Like, it's cool to make money and everything, but I'm also about building relationships. I always like to use Don Corleone from The Godfather. I will do this favor for you. Down the road, I'm going to come to you and ask you for a favor. That's right. Me collecting.
Corleone.
Think about it. I've known Sebastian a long time. I showed him some photos like when we first met like in person, and he was just like, oh my God. And the thing about it was, we always stayed in contact. Sebastian's like, listen, I want to do a podcast. I go, listen, that's awesome, but let me pitch you something.
That's right.
Where you have to do nothing except create the content.
It's true. He's not lying. He's not lying.
And that was it.
And so that's the value you get for having a network. Is it was pretty much you just linked me to it. I saw everything you'll do, and then we agreed upon a number, and I thought, okay, wow, like for me, the time of doing those things you're talking about is when I'm very limited on my time. And so you having the network gave me so much experience. I'm like, well, he's got 10, 15, 20 podcasts on here. I'm like, if he's found a system where he's doing it, it's got to be, it just gave you more proof than somebody who maybe has one podcast. You know what I mean? Like yours. And you're like, oh, I'll upload yours too. And it's like, no, you're like, no, I do this. I literally can lay it out as an ensuite for you to get everything done. And I thought that was brilliant. And that's why I wanted to ask that question. Like, and now you told me the business model was like, hey, and you had told me in the first time we talked, you keep your ads. If I bring you any ads, we split that up. And I just feel like that plus the idea that, people will pay you to run their podcast from the back end. I mean,
Yep.
I love everything that you're doing, and I think that your next plan, if you're ready to talk about that strategy, is one of the brightest I've heard in 2021 so far.
So to elaborate on what Sebastian is saying, one of the biggest things is people want to sometimes be the best they can be at one thing. And you can be a specialist. But the thing about being a specialist is that everything else, you need to make it work either on its own, autonomously, or you need to have a network of people to help that along. So I'll give you folks an example. Let's say you're doing a podcast, and one of the things you don't want to deal with is babysitting Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that crap. Okay. Very simple answer. You find a service like Buffer. You find something like Hootsuite. Mm-hmm. You go in there. You drop all your content in there on a Sunday night. Mm-hmm. You set times where everything self-publishes. Yep. And next thing you know, guess what you're not doing? Tied to your phone, dealing with social. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Done. Mm-hmm. You're out. Mm-hmm. Your focus is on your content. Mm-hmm. Done. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And I think
our whole business.
Yep.
$100 for Buffer.
Yep, like I pay Buffer, I think it's $10 a month because I got a grandfathered plan. Best $10 a month I spend because I drop all my content in there for all the posts we do on the website. Even the podcast stuff gets automated. I just adjust the messaging, make the messaging sound natural from my voice, and boom, it just automatically goes out there. LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it is, wherever the base is. And you got to outsource some of that. Now, with me, one of the things that I like to do is remove, again, the barrier of entry. So a lot of creators, like I said, paralysis analysis, what microphone, what headphones, what this, what that. Here's what I do. I take all of that out of the play. All I tell you is you create, I bring it to life, and we're off to the races. So I'm taking that same concept and I'm bringing it to the real world. Because what's happening because of COVID, everybody wants to podcast, everyone wants to create content, everyone wants to do stuff, but people don't have space. People don't have a studio. People don't have equipment. Right. The goal is I'm going to open a brick and mortar spot where people can come in and just press record.
I love that, bro. I love that.
They can come in, press record, take an SD card with them when they're done with their podcast. They could do whatever. Obviously, if they want it edited, if they want to do all the other stuff, just like we're doing with the RageWorks Network, that can be done as a service. But we take the guesswork completely out of it. You want to come in and record a podcast? Cool, we got you. You want to come in and record a YouTube show? Great, we got you. And that's the plan. The plan is to open up a brick and mortar studio space. Initially, probably we're going to do podcasting first. Maybe it'll have a place where people can come and record YouTube videos and do product photography and stuff like that. But again, very simple, very, very quaint. And again, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just solving a problem. And that's what you got to look at with all of your content. What problem am I solving? What am I eliminating? Because people get mad that, oh, this company does this company does that. You know what these companies do? They give you a currency that you can never earn back. You can get back $1, you cannot get back an hour.
That's right.
Time.
That's right.
Time is a currency. And that's what I specialize in. I give you more time for your content, more time to promote your podcast, more time to work on your pitches to get an advertiser. Why? Because I'll edit it, I'll post it. Hell, I do the social for it. Not because I want to or because I have to, but because it's part of my network. That's where the relationship is. If a show's on the RageWorks Podcast Network, my job is to, as the owner of the network, to promote the network because they are giving me something, content. They're touching an audience that I may not be touching. Maybe you want to talk to 45-year-old women that crochet in the Midwest. Guess who's not doing that? A 40-year-old guy, a 40-year-old Puerto Rican guy in Queens. He's not doing that.
He's not talking to Ethel?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not talking to Ethel, but you know what? Joanne that wants to talk to Ethel that doesn't know nothing about podcasting, I got her covered.
But she can get. Charles Riley said you smart, and I agree. I mean, this guy is gem dropping. It's true, and by the way, I wanted you to bring up your business. coming soon to New York is a turnkey walk in and start your podcast service by Rage Network, RageWorks, the podcast network. And I just think it's such a great product because, first of all, I don't see it anywhere, so I love it. It's meant for you. And two, I think if it was around me, I would be doing it there instead of here.
Yep,
I'd be doing it there because it's that valuable. You're right. I mean, it's that valuable. If I could just walk in and Marcus and Tamika and Derek could all just, pop in where they're at, or if they had one local in their town and we could just pop in and we don't have to have any kind of the overhead or set our spaces up or whatever. I mean, it's definitely, I think a lot of people in the chat would too, like just walk in, hey, you got a monthly membership, but you got this room, you can set your podcast, and Ethel in Iowa is waiting for you. Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
That's hot. I think that's hot.
Yeah, I did that for my last podcast. I had the Indie Games podcast I launched. It was like 2019, and I had the first episode. I published it on Libsyn, and the second episode is still sitting on my laptop 18 months later because I just don't have the time to produce it.
Right. And that's exactly it. I think that one of the biggest hurdles is exactly that. The fact that people get mad at Uber because Uber is simplifying them getting a car service.
Right.
If you listen, who appreciates Uber? The 3 people that are hosting this podcast right now. You want to know why? Because when you needed to pick up a cab to go to Brooklyn, they would look at you and they would say, nah, I don't go there.
That's true.
Guess who goes to Brooklyn? Uber. You want to know why? Because they're not worried about that. They're worried about, hey, is this a 5-star customer and do they tip? That's it. That's exactly it. You want to know why Instacart took off during the pandemic and all of these services? Because nobody wanted to deal with shopping.
Yep.
Nobody wanted to wear a mask. Nobody wanted to wait on a line. Oh, why is Instacart making so much money? Because somebody wants to stand on that line that's not you.
Yeah, people don't buy products. They buy solutions.
Thank you.
They buy solutions. The only one who got people brainwashed to buying products, they probably ain't going to sponsor our podcast. Just going to let y'all know, Apple. They got people buying. It don't even matter.
But you know why Apple does that? Because Apple is selling an experience.
It's true.
That's what they're doing. White glove, quality products that you're paying for. And people are like, oh, they just got widgets. Android has had widgets forever. This is true. But you want to know what Android doesn't have? A unified operating system.
Nope. Definitely doesn't.
Everybody. Hey, Mom, can you give me that new Android update? Oh, I'm sorry. Sprint isn't letting you get that update. Because Sprint or Verizon, they're still testing that update, and you're not going to get it for 2 years.
It's true.
Apple sells experiences. Amazon sells convenience. And at the end of the day, a lot of the old antiquated stuff that's getting killed in the field out there is getting killed because people are finding ways to do it better, faster, and for less money. That's it. And the only closing thing I want to tell people is Facebook, Pinterest. Look at these social networks. Figure out how you can leverage them to build your audience. Facebook has some of the most detailed analytics in the game.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
If you're not out there leveraging them to grow your podcast, to grow your website, you are dropping serious social currency down the toilet.
It's true. And it's to the point where Facebook had to, regulate. I run ads, and over the last 12 months, they've had to cut back some of the stuff you could even target, right?
Yep.
Like they've had to cut back. You can't. They like government regulations have been like, damn, Facebook knows too much about every single person that goes through there, and that's the thing. Everybody, as I say that, you can find out that information. They're not hiding it and using it against you.
Nope.
You just don't know how to advertise.
Bingo.
And so since you don't know how to advertise, to you, it's like, oh, I'm just on Facebook. But if you learned how to run a Facebook ad, this is not rocket science. You could learn this in 30 days, 25 days, and have an understanding of how to target using that data Rich is talking about. You are leaving money on the table. It is a fact. It is 100%.
Hell, Sebastian can teach you that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal, right? Yeah. That's the goal. I want people to have that power. I mean, that's why you guys are both getting the course up front. Got to have my guys have it because I know the power. I mean, it's game changing. It's not like it's different because you used to have to figure out how to buy ads in the paper. You used to have to figure out how to buy ads on TV. And then if the ad didn't work, it just didn't work. And you had to pay TV prices, right? But now, Facebook has what we call faucet ads. Meaning, if it's not working, after 4 or 5 days, you're looking like, damn, I spent $30 and it's not working. You can turn it off. You don't have to keep running it. You can turn it off and figure out whether it's the copy. Figure out if they're jumping out at the ad or the landing page. Figure out whatever part. You can figure it out. You don't have to. You don't have to like keep burning money. How like you do if you spent an ad on TV. They're not gonna be like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, let me give you. Man, you know people be watching Martin. They don't want no commercials. It's like no, it's just is what it is. Facebook is not like that, and neither is YouTube, neither is LinkedIn, and that's why I try to tell people. I just did a class the other day on like esports entrepreneurship, and I told the kids, I was like, you don't even have to leave. You can leave school today and go learn how to run a Facebook ad. Today.
And the thing. And the thing about it is, to your point, it's like, think about this. Let's drill down to the esports community, to the gaming community. The thing about it is that all those analytics, all that stuff, it's there. And people get mad because they think, oh, my phone is always listening. No, you're using your phone to go everywhere. And those cookies that you're generating are also carrying over to your desktop.
They know.
That's why when you look up, a Sherling jacket on Instagram, you're going to find an ad for a Sherling jacket on Facebook.
Right.
All they're doing is harvesting that data that you're giving them. So many people that talk about all these quote unquote conspiracies, like, oh, they're using all our data, blah, blah, blah. You're giving them your data.
That's right.
You're giving it to them.
Self-accountability.
That's why, Marcus, self-accountability. You got to have self-accountability. And if you're scared of self-accountability, well, that's why the other browser's called Brave, okay?
Yep.
That's why it's called Brave. If you're scared, let Brave be brave for you. That was a Marcus plug right there. Well,
it's true. Now,
any questions?
Hey, we do want to get some questions from the community.
Let's do it. What do we got?
Yeah, we want to check.
If you see anything, let us know in the chat. Want to make sure you get your questions answered. Get this free consulting, this free advice. We appreciate y'all supporting us.
Yeah, we definitely do. We want to get you. My man Musa says you put him one step closer to getting his tech podcast. So I'm glad to hear that. Super glad to hear that. So Rich, you're already worth your weight in gold.
Musa, don't wait. Don't wait. Hit record that first episode. It's not going to be pretty, but 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 5, 5 becomes 10. And by the 10th episode, I tell people that's when if you can consistently get 10 episodes out, then you should keep podcasting. If you can't find the motivation to do 10 episodes, then you can't find the motivation to build that as a business.
I remember you told me that. And then when we were going through it, you're like, just got to get to 10 episodes. Just got to get to 10 episodes. He kept saying that.
Yep.
Now, Oladapo says that you're speaking truth. Cookies can last up for 2 years.
Yep. There you go. I mean, people sleep on that. I mean, here I'm gonna give you guys a business idea for free. Check this out. People get upset. People get upset about buying sneakers. I don't want to wait on the line. Blah blah blah. Do you know that smart people, go and hire a TaskRabbit person to stand on the line for them?
Yeah.
Why can't you create an Instacart service where people can go and be on the line for you for sneakers?
I mean,
why can't you do that?
I like it.
In every major city.
And you can replicate it too, because even if like Rich comes up with one, I'm here in LA. His ain't in LA. So I could do one in LA, and Marcus in Tampa. You could do one in Tampa. Look at you.
Listen, I worked with a guy that legitimately would go to Flight Club in the city, Foot Locker in the city, and he would pay a homeless guy $50 to stand on the line. Yo, here's $50. Stand on this line. Dude would be next on the line. He'd meet the guy, and the guy would show up. They'd switch places. That homeless person made $50. Now, again, that's not what I'm encouraging, but you see that there is business there.
Like you said, it's a gap. It's a need. People don't buy the product. They buy the solution. So you're right. It's a solution people are bringing. I mean, damn.
You can't create a business. You can't, and again, you don't need to go crazy. Hey, you want to go and wait on a line for sneakers? How much is it worth? How much is it worth to you to not stand on that line?
I mean,
that's the value. How much is it worth to you?
I think he's got bigger opportunity than sneakers. I remember, Malcolm, when I went to E3 at 2014, the only time we stood in line for like 3 hours to play Destiny.
There you go.
Destiny.
Yeah.
There you go.
Damn sure wish I had those 3 hours back, because you're at E3, right? You don't want to spend 3 of the hours. We only had one day there. We spent half of it standing in line for one game.
That's a good idea right there, because I've been to 6 E3s. Like Jordan got 6 rings. I've been to 6 E3s, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you're definitely right about having to try to conquer the show, right? Like get all over the place. Having somebody wait for you in line at E3. If there was an app where people could like punch in and you could have people doing that, that's a great idea too. That's a great.
And it's good money. It's good money. Or think about it, San Diego Comic-Con. You want somebody to line up at Hall H, and you could, and the thing about it is, you could walk the show floor, log into the app, and wait on a line for somebody and make $50. What's it worth to you? What's it worth to you to get into Hall H to see the newest Marvel trailer? Is it worth $50? Is it worth $25? Hell, I'm walking the show floor. I'll do you the solid and stand there for $25.
Damn, bro, that's
people standing there. The only reason they go to the show is go make the money for standing in line.
Why not?
I mean, why not? If I go to my next one, that'll be 7. So I'll be somebody standing in line. I haven't been to 6 of them, so I'm gonna be like, hey, I'll stand in line. Know what it's like to not want to wait, and you need to cover the whole thing. That's actually, man, the value drops in this one. I shouldn't be surprised. I am surprised. I respect your gangster. I didn't mean to, act like you wasn't gonna come drop gems, but I didn't know you was gonna bring the whole diamond mine. So, Rich, tell them where we can find you. What you're working on. What should they be looking out for you coming next? Besides producing these dope shows that you got going, what else should we be looking at?
Well, right now, I've been just consulting. On May 1st, and I'll be fully transparent. On May 1st of last year, COVID took my job, my 19-year job, gone, and been on the bench since last year. And the thing about it is, I could have sat here and you get your unemployment, whatever. Hustle, you gotta hustle.
That's right.
I got my stuff, doing stuff on eBay, reselling. Consulting, podcast consulting, doing consulting for WordPress websites. My parting shot before I even give out all my info is to tell your audience that if you're not out there finding money, it's because you don't want to look for it. You can wake up, drive to a garage sale, buy some stuff, scan it, put it on eBay from your phone, and make money by the time you get home.
First of all, you should have knew that before you got here. We're in 2021, and I'm very hard on my young black and brown people who are still caught up. We come from the urban space, so still caught up selling drugs, still caught up, doing what you got to do with the intention to help your mother or with the intention to help your household. It's not like y'all want to sell drugs and hurt people, but you are hurting people, and I feel like that's so played out. Right? It's such a played out thing to do because it's not like when your daddy had to do it or his daddy had to do it because that's what they had. There was no jobs for, color folks and this, that, and third.
Bingo.
Man, people getting on YouTube, TikTok, or their cars is Ubers. They cars is rented on Turo. They affiliate, they linking people, they doing videos for free and then linking people and getting $100 off a Best Buy TV. There's too many ways to get money now to be doing all that slick stuff. It's too many ways. It's too many ways. You can play video games. If you just want to play video games, you don't even have to have the computer. Your PS4 or PS5 will go directly into Twitch. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. So there is no room for any of the childish games if you've grown. Like, you got grown people out here, making money from doing what we're doing. Like, it's just up to you to educate yourself, empower yourself. And that's why we got this podcast for entrepreneurship, esports, education, entertainment. And that's how you eat for life. Now, I do have a bonus question because it came in from our boy Sean, our lawyer, our in-house lawyer, right? And he says, I know we're stuck at the hosting and editing. That's where they're stuck at in his podcast. So what's the best way to get that editing experience down?
Editing is, it's really all about not getting too tied up. Like people have crutch words. Like being from New York, what I'm saying is one of them.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's a New York thing, or the or things like that. learn to recognize what the looks like on a waveform, and then you can delete all the ums. You can start with that. You can, in Audacity, they have a plugin that's built in called Truncate Silence. So if you take long pauses, you could click Truncate Silence. It shrinks all your pauses down.
He gave you the hacks. I wish I'd be using Audacity to record my music, and I'm going to use Truncate Silence. I just learned that. So I don't know what y'all are doing, but I just got that gem in real time right now.
Yeah, so doing all of that is an easy way to start. Everybody's editing style is different. You just got to ensure that it keeps the flow of conversation sounding naturally. You don't want to over edit, but you don't want to under edit either. Like, you could leave some ums in there. You could leave little mess ups here and there, because it humanizes you. It adds character.
Right.
But focus on cutting out stuff that you know. Like, if somebody goes on a long tangent, find a way to cut that out and maybe put it to the side and re-listen as you go. Play it as you go along. So if you cut out that person's long diatribe about some sort of political nonsense, cut it out, listen to it back and see if it sounds better. If it does sound better, then leave it on the cutting room floor for now, and then save a version with it and save a version without it. And then listen to it the next day and wonder which one was more entertaining. And once you do that, you kind of get a grasp of what that editing style is going to be. Again, focus on just little things. Cut out the crutch words, cut out the long pauses, make it clear and concise. Make sure you get pod safe music. That's the first thing. If you want to get intro music, make sure you go to a place that's podcast friendly. You go to YouTube. They have plenty of free music you can get from YouTube. Make sure that all of the things that you're getting don't open you up to any sort of liability down the road.
Well, I mean, listen, Rich, it's been incredible. Marcus, do you have any questions or anything? Because I pretty much hijacked it. I'm not gonna lie, he had me against the ropes. I had so many questions.
No, you covered it, man. I appreciate that. I do want to give a shout out to Yandra Nelson, who was in the chat on LinkedIn. Both of us actually graduated from Georgia Southern. I graduated 2008. I think she graduated 2009. She's from the College of IT. She was an IT senator with Malcolm and me on student government. So I appreciate you supporting me and Malcolm and everything we're doing in this podcast. What I guess now, like 12 years later. Appreciate that.
And I got to say, my guy Sean, he said to Rich, let's rep Queens. So, you know, it's Queens in the building all day.
100%. I appreciate that. With regards to where to find me, rageworks.com or rageworks.net and rageworkspodcastnetwork.com are the two sites that you can do that stuff and link up. If you are into all the gaming and entertainment and that content, rageworks.net is your source, from action figure reviews to movie reviews, the latest games, all the pop culture stuff. We got it covered there. The Rageworks Podcast Network, of course, home to the Eat for Life podcast and all of our other shows. Make sure to check us out there. And you can find the Rageworks Network on every podcast platform of your choice, along with the Eat for Life podcast, which you can find on any podcast platform of your choice. If you're on LinkedIn, feel free to reach out. I always accept new connections, so you can reach me via LinkedIn, and you can also find Rageworks on all social media platforms.
Musa, man, I'm giving
the outros like Rich does. He kills.
I'm talking about what? Listen, Musa, I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm gonna give you a straight plug. You know, tell him Chosen sent you. I know him, so tell him Chosen sent you. He's gonna give you a great rate. And I'm telling you, when I say hands off, Rich make it hands off. Like, literally,
Yep.
Rich goes so fast with getting the podcast on all the shops and all the places that by the time I end this stream, by the time I press that button, Rich might have it somewhere already. That's how fast. And it's a great rate. It's something affordable. It's something economic. And it also, you know, it allows us to continue to grow and build. And I love being a part of the Rageworks Network. And I'm looking forward to continuing being a part of it. Thank you for coming through, bro. We appreciate you. You know you had to bang an episode if we run over. We ran over. So you know you had to bang. That's the sign of a banging episode. Thank you guys for coming through, as you always do. Like Rich showed us, we got to thank you guys first and foremost. So thank you very, very much. Shout out to Red and Derek. Couldn't be here today, but we held it down like gravity for y'all, you know. And we're grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. Alex, Oladapo, Musa, all you guys. Thank you for coming through. I see Sean on Twitch, Hatrify over on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next episode. Until then.
Hey, Knockout City's coming out on Friday, yo. Get ready.
You cannot forget Marcus will never let you forget Knockout City. We're actually rich. I'm going to say this now because now we're here live. This is supposed to be something I was going to talk internally, but why not tell the public? These are our peoples. These are our early adopters, our peoples watching us. We're actually going to go and be an Eat for Life team on Knockout City. And Rich, we're drafting you. And Chris Fryer from LinkedIn. We're drafting you too. The Fry Man. That's what his gamer tag is. Chris, you probably seen him like a lot of our stuff. He's been a big supporter. You guys, if you got connected with Chris on LinkedIn, tell him. I told him yesterday, I'm telling you guys, we're going to do a Knockout City. We're going to run. Because can you get to 4s or is it only 3s?
You can do 4. They got a 3v3 and a 4v4.
So we can go 4s. We're going to have us and Chris. And we're going to swap out because I think Tamika wants to play too. So we're going to get Tamika involved. Or you guys could play and I'll watch. I don't care. I commentate. So I'll shout it out. But we're going to do it live on the podcast. I have somewhere around this desk a capture card. So I should be able to capture it while we play. And first, me and Rich got to get our revenge on Marcus because he abused us. And then second, we got to go out into these fields, man. These dodgeball fields. If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
You could dodge a ball.
That's right. That's right. It's on, baby. So thank you guys for showing up as always. We love you. Holla back. Get your dollar back. It's Eat for Life. We love you. Later.
Salute. Peace.